really changing in that sense. So, this brings to the fundamental question, the topic for today as well, and obviously we're going to go into a lot more detail and have perspectives from Amit here as well, who's another amazing product leader for the last 25 years, head of Cisco, has been instrumental in creating more product leaders than just being one. And I'll share some of my perspective, but would love to learn yours. So who is a product leader in your opinion? And I don't know if you have a poll that we can make live, Srilagna. I would love to get a quick poll from the audience as to what you believe is the true definition or the most appropriate definition of a product leader.
Certainly, but as requested, I had launched the first poll, which was what company do you represent, and I can share the answers with you right now.
That'd be great.
Around 10% said IT services company, 40% said IT MNC, 40% said IT startup, and 10% said still figuring out.
Well, hopefully the last 10% of still figuring out, we can probably add the most value that you can figure it out by the end of this next 1 hour. So look forward to that.
Correct.
And do you also mind sharing, Srilagna, how many people took that poll so that we know if it's statistically relevant?
We have around 63 attendees right now who took the poll.
Got it.
Okay, so now I'm moving on to the second poll question, and as I keep the poll question open, the question will appear right up on the screen. So here you go. The question is, I'm also going to read it out loud. Who is a product leader? And the choices we have: a customer-centric technology manager, a project manager working in a product company, a module leader working in an IT services company, and never heard of it. So I'm going to keep the poll open for the next 10 or 15 odd seconds. Alright, I think we have got the answers. I'm closing the poll now and sharing the results right on the screen. Okay, around 57% say a customer-centric technology manager, 4% say a module leader working in an IT services organization, 26% say a project manager working in a product company, and 13% say never heard of it. So that was the answer we got. And back to you, Pinkesh.
Excellent. Hey, thanks a lot for sharing that. So for the folks who, again, in that last bucket of never heard of it, hopefully you'll hear enough of it today to be able to take a more informative decision, not only about what that whole career path is, but also if it's the right one, and if it is the right one, what are the necessary ingredients for you to excel in that career path. So, this question about, who is a product leader obviously is one that takes a much longer description, a much longer, deeper inspection. But at the highest level, I think it's very similar to the answers that most of you picked, which is at the end of the day, we want an engineering manager, a technology manager, an architect for that matter, who's not necessarily doing people management. Any of these individuals who work in a product company, in a company that is creating intellectual property, we want to ask them to kind of go beyond just quality code on time. Just my quick background, I was an engineering manager for almost 9 years before I switched more accidentally into product management. I was always graded. I was always evaluated on 2 parameters. Did I release the product or the code or the module on or before the time that I promised? And 2, did I have the right parameters of quality defined by certain percentage of severity 1 bugs? And while that might have been a definition that kind of was okay, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, certainly the world has evolved, and what we want most of our engineering leaders to kind of be cognizant of is really the customer centricity. Why are we doing what we're doing, and what happens once we are done with the technology that we just finished building, right? So I think customer centricity is probably one of the biggest things that kind of differentiates as one elevates oneself to go from being a pure project execution, technology execution, leader or a manager to a true product leader. Now there are other deeper ways to understand this as well, right? Do we have the customer context, which is what we talked about a little bit. What market problems are we really solving? Sometimes we forget to ask the simple question while we start solving the more complex ways of how we're going to solve it, right? Why are we doing what we're doing? Who is it for? Basics of, who is a buyer versus a user, especially for B2B companies. This is a very important aspect to understand the context of the customer as to who's going to influence and buy might require a different set of delight parameters than those who actually use it. What is the competitive context? What is the business context? So all of these things are essentially asking us to say, look, at the end of the day, we want our product leaders to have a much deeper context. Otherwise, what we end up doing is building the tricycle that was asked